What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 152. And today we're going to wrap up the week that was in week number 18. With me from right down that hallway, no longer on quarantine because of COVID. I'm healthy all of a sudden. It's Ben Nisman. Benny, you're a three-time Bigs champion. You are the commissioner, and this season has been wearing on you. How you feeling this week, my friend?
Was that a rhetorical question?
Yeah, of
Or
course.
you actually do want to know how I'm
Of course
feeling?
I want to know how you're feeling,
Okay,
man.
so then it wasn't rhetorical. Okay. Honestly, Joe, I'm miserable. I'm not enjoying myself. It's been a hellacious season for me. These last 6 weeks have been a disaster and torture. We're gonna get into it a lot more, but I feel like right now, all in all, hitting, pitching combined, number one, it is the worst team in our league statistically amongst everybody when you talk about pitching and hitting combined. But this is certainly the worst team I've constructed in the last 6 years. And that includes the 2020 season that I was breaking down after a couple of weeks anyway, because it was a 6 week season. And even 2022, that was historically the worst offensive team we've ever had in this league. But that team pitched. That team had Scherzer and Kershaw. That team had a nice bullpen. This is flat the worst team I've ever put together, man. In my most recent memory, it's a mess, man. It is so embarrassing looking at it every single day. And we had a lot of great matchups this week, and I am looking forward to getting into the fun and the excitement that went through some of these managers because there was so much intensity and so much back and forth battling, and I just wish that I could have joined in on the fun. It's been brutal. We have a shit ton to get into, so Joe, just please lead it off.
Let's get going, boys. Benji, you're still in a playoff spot, so that is at least something to hang your hat on. But we'll see what happens over the next 4 weeks. Let's talk about first a team that is, for all intents and purposes, in the playoffs, despite a loss this week to Frank Bucco. We're talking about the matchup between Frank and Josh Haber. What'd you see here, my friend?
I thought that this was one of the better matchups Frank has actually played up against this entire season. It felt like he wasn't trying to do too much. He was playing to the score a little bit more. I love that the relief appearances ends up tied after all this. Josh just did exactly what he needed to do, just get enough stats to stay relevant, hang into that top two spots. It's looking very promising that's going to happen. Great work from both of these managers, honestly.
Absolutely. It was 11-10 in favor of Josh going into Sunday. Frank was able to tie strikeouts by a pitcher and relief appearances to make it 10-9 and win the week. So close categories this week. Frank wins by 3 doubles and a triple. Josh wins by 3 stolen bases, an error, 2 saves, 2 home runs by a pitcher, and a walk by a pitcher. They tied in that aforementioned strikeouts by a pitcher and relief appearances. For Frank on his bench, Benjamin, he goes 0 for 4.
Okay.
And of
Typical,
course,
but it's nice that at least when he did have a bench, there's no hits on the bench. So I'll give him that.
yeah, and of course, none of that plays. He used all 10 ads this week. He adds Tyler Molly off of waivers, 5 innings, a loss, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 180 and a 120 against Houston. And Gerard Encarnacion, 1 for 4 with an RBI. He adds Brendan Rodgers, 2 for 3 with 2 walks. Drops Tristan Casas for John Brebbia for a clean relief appearance. Drops Jordan Hicks for Drew Rasmussen, who was terrible as an opener against Baltimore. He drops Encarnacion for Mackenzie Gore, which was a waste. Drops Brendan Rodgers for Hayden Birdsong, who was terrible against Detroit. He drops Mackenzie Gore for Max Meyer, who was serviceable against San Diego. Drops John Brebbia for TJ McFarland, who did not enter the game, and dropped Drew Rasmussen for Adam Duvall 0 for 2.
Wow. So did you realize that this was a lot of starting pitchers? I don't remember you saying one relief pitcher in this entire group.
Just John Brebbia.
Brebbia. So and McFarland that didn't even factor in.
Right.
So when I hear all that, first I'm thinking, okay, great, Frank tied strikeouts. Like that was all of those Bird Song, like all these guys that were horrendous. Okay, fine. Maybe you win ERA if you get a little bit better work out of a couple of these guys. But when you tie strikeouts, I guess you needed every one of them. And then the fact that two relievers that he added, one doesn't even come into the game. He ends up tying relief appearances against Josh Haber. Both of these things are impressive to me.
Yeah. And you know what? Getting those relief appearances, only adding the one reliever that got into the game. Credit to you. Hats off. Really, really well done.
Yeah.
His MVP this week is going to be Jackson Merrill, 417 with a 464 on base percentage, 9 runs, a double, a triple, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. On the season, this kid is having himself a year
Yeah.
without question. 288, 17 homers, 13 steals, playing a really solid center field for the San Diego Padres. Really nice week from him. The MVP, the least valuable hitter goes to Marcus Semien, 182 with a 308 on base, a run, a homer, an RBI, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, and an error. We also got some weird lines for Shohei Ohtani and Jackson Holiday as well. 136 batting average for Holiday, but 3 homers.
Huh.
160 batting average from Ohtani, but a double, a triple, and 2 homers and a stolen base. So it's just a weird week
Yeah.
from his offense that dominated Josh for the most part.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, when you get these lousy performances from guys that you're expecting a lot from, you're just happy that the actual, like, they didn't hit a lot, but the hits they got were extra base hits. So he made them count.
Mm-hmm.
14 home runs, it's a lot of bombs for a week. 37 RBIs and 36 runs. It's going to be tough for anyone to beat. So, yeah, Frank's offense really brought it.
Yeah, really came to strike while the iron was hot, get a win over a top team. His Cy Young this week goes to Jose Barrios, 7 innings, a win, a bomb, a walk, 8 strikeouts, a 1.29 and a 1.
Hmm.
The Cy Young goes to Charlie Morton, who was terrible, 2 2/3, a loss, 4 homers, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 27 and a 3.75
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
whip.
So you sit Birdsong and you sit Morton and maybe I don't know, maybe like Rasmussen. You don't play those three guys, you grab ERA more than likely. So, but
Sure, but
listen,
he loses
he
strikeouts if he
loses
does that.
strikeouts, right? But I'd rather have the flip right there, right? Because he tied
True,
strikeouts, he didn't win it.
true.
So, like, I'd rather have the flip. But at the time, I mean, he needs it, right? He wins by 6 innings pitched. So,
Hmm?
listen, I can't hate on him for getting aggressive here with the pitchers. I mean, it seemed like that was the plan from the get-go. And the fact that most of his ads were on starting pitching, I appreciate that he didn't um veer away from the plan so
Mm-hmm.
much. Like I heard one offensive player very late in the game. Of course, we talked about McFarland, didn't work. The wasted pitcher, was it
Mackenzie Gore.
Mackenzie Gore, right? But like, okay, that didn't work. Just keep sticking with the plan. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it got him another win. Like, credit to Frank for getting off the schneid here and getting a
Yeah.
W. For Josh on his bench, Benji, he goes 4 for 18.
Uh, what is what is 2 for 9? Um, I don't know what 2 for 9 is, Joe. I'll say 238.
It's a 222
Okay.
with 3 runs, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and an error. None of that plays. None of that plays because Frank was so overpowering offensively that the runs he lost by 9, the homers he lost by 6, the RBIs he lost by 9. Like he did not get a single thing on the bench. However, he benched Paul Sewald on Sunday, and that would have won him the relief appearance category and the strikeouts category
Hmm.
as he had a clean relief appearance with a strikeout.
Hmm. Now, was it in favor of somebody else playing, or was he trying to dodge something?
Well, Seawald hasn't been good, hence the team name 99 D-backs and a bitch can't close. He's he's just been sort of riding this D-backs bullpen this year, and it's not been good over the last week or so.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
So
I can also see that. Firstly, Josh doesn't necessarily know if Frank is going to catch him on strikeouts on Sunday. You
right.
see that he wins walks given up by one, does Josh.
Hmm.
So he's already got saves wrapped up. He's got three of them on the week. He knows Frank isn't catching him there. So why chance it with Seawald? He comes in, he gives up the walk. There's another stat. So
Hmm.
I get it. There's the fact that Frank goes and gets relief appearances on that day, he goes and gets ties strikeouts. These are things that I think Josh wasn't anticipating on happening.
Right.
That
Right.
would be my guess.
Yeah. 8 ads for Josh this week. He starts off dropping Carson Spears for John Brebbia, clean relief appearance. Drops Gabriel Moreno for Cabert Ruiz, 3 for 5, 2 runs, a double, a homer, and an RBI. He drops John Brebbia for Martin Perez, 7 innings, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 2.57 and an 0.71 in Miami. He drops JP Sears for Michael Toglia, 1 for 4 with a strikeout and a strikeout and a stolen base. He
Uh-huh.
drops Toglia for Mauricio Dubon, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Yep. Yep. That was one of the guys, wasn't it? It's one of the guys that's been hurting you the last few weeks.
Oh, when he plays, yeah, absolutely. Usually not a strikeout guy, but my God, he just hits and does nothing.
He dropped Lucas Sims for David Festa, who was okay in 3 1/3 innings against Cleveland. And finishes out the week dropping Kobe Mayo, Lawrence Butler, and Matt Waldron for Ryan Stanek, who was atrocious in his relief appearance, and Wyatt Langford, 1 for 4 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. The MVP this week goes to Matt Chapman, who came to his team off of waivers. 296 with a 387 on base, 4 runs, a double, a triple, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, Yandy Diaz, 174 with a 231 on base, 3 runs, an RBI, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts.
Hmm.
The Cy Young goes to Logan Gilbert. 7 innings, a win, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.57. The Cy Young goes to Ryan Stanek, who had an ERA of 108 over his 1/3 of an inning. Gross. Gross. Benji, I feel like Josh is as safe as you possibly can be in the 2 hole and may be able to sneak out the 1 if things fall right for him in the final 4 weeks. Unfortunately for Frank, I think this is where we officially say his season's over.
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate season. You know that he's going to try to get into that consolation bracket, and that's still possible in the final 3 weeks. As far as Frank goes, we talk about it like to exhaustion on this show, but it's just the fact that he hasn't been able to help himself with flipping the roster and just changing it up. And it's almost like when he hears an offer, whether it's from Jay or whether it's from you or whatever, it's too good to pass up. It's just no matter what, it's too good to pass up. It just he thinks of the positives from the deal, but not necessarily where it could affect him negatively or how it might be helping another manager and putting them in a direction that's going to make them better than Frank. So every time I make a trade, Joe, and we will get to Josh in a moment, but anytime I make a trade, I am trying to win the deal and I'm trying to make a fair deal at the same time. It's kind of a contradiction, but one thing that I will make sure of when I'm making a deal is I do not want to put a team over the top. If a team has two closers, I don't want to give them a third closer. If that team has three guys from one particular team, like an offense, like example, like you had three Phillies this year, or you had a couple of Rays last year, or even 22, you went with the Orioles. I'm not trading you an Oriole. I'm not trading you a Ray. I'm not giving you that extra guy. So that's just the way I play the game. And obviously that doesn't mean it's correct, but that's just one thing that I would feel like Frank needs to not only like worry about his own team, but how much he's actually assisting other teams and getting better. As far as Josh goes, what else can you say? But what an incredible manager! Just
Mhm.
as far as the maturity and how he's grown, part of it has been more focus, and now he's much more passionate about it. But I mean, you look at these numbers and just let's just take a look in the fact that this guy, it took 15 years for him to get a playoff spot. And then he
Mhm.
missed a year, and then he goes to the last year, and he's going to the semifinals for the second year in a row.
Mhm.
Josh Haber is going to the final four for the second year in a row. That's incredible. That's special. That's what's beautiful about the bigs. That a guy can be in the cellar for a couple of years, but somehow this is like his window, even though we always draft a new team anyway, you just find that like right now Josh is at his hottest for the last 4 years. It's just factual, and I'm really, really proud of him. He's been brilliant on both sides of the ball. As far as the pitching goes, 5-13 in innings pitched, sure, but ready 10-4 in wins, 11-6 in losses, 14-3 in saves, 14-4 in home runs given up. Get ready for this one. 16-2 in walks given up,
Mhm.
um, three, including this week. Uh, 3-14 in strikeouts kind of goes along the lines with the 5-13 in innings pitched. Understandable. 13-5 in ERA, 16-2 in WHIP, and 10-6 in RAP. That is over 500 in all the stats you need to be over 500 in the pitching, and you say goodbye to innings pitched and strikeouts. That's brilliant work by him. He's just been awesome in that regard. As far as the hitting goes, I'm trying to find his team. Did he literally just change his team name?
Did he?
No, no, he didn't. He didn't. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
7-8 in runs, 12-6 in doubles, 11-5 in triples. That's just weird. 4-11 in home runs. Okay, so the guy hasn't been very powerful. He's 7 under 500 in home runs, 7-10 in RBIs, 8-7 in stolen bases, competing
Mhm.
every week in stolen bases, basically. 11-6 in walks, 9-6 in strikeouts by a batter. That's really good. 8-9 in errors. He's basically gone 500 in defense. 10-8 in average, and then 9-9 in on base percentage. Certainly a little bit more of a mixed bag in the offense, but still basically competing with everybody. So you got to love what he's bringing to the table, man. Like, I don't know if this is a championship team, but it certainly is a lot closer now that he has Mookie Betts. He missed him for so long that I feel like some of these under 500 stats on offense, maybe they'd be a little higher if he had Mookie Betts instead of
Mhm.
the guy replacing him. He is second in our league to Jay Ferraro in ERA with a 3.51 ERA. He is number one in the league in whip with a 1.11 whip. That takes
Wow.
anybody in our league, man. And I mean, what else can you say, dude? Like he's just been brilliant. He's been brilliant managing day to day. He's using his ads so effectively. He's able to set up for the next week. I mean, the guy has just been unstoppable. I don't know how far this team is going to go, but I think that Josh is at this point where he has this intuition where he can go and get stats in free agency now,
Mhm.
Joe. He can go and say, nah, I'm going to bench this starting pitcher because it's not worth it, and that guy gets lit up in Camden Yards or Fenway, and then go find those innings somewhere else. This is a different Josh Haber than pre 2021. And that's what I love seeing, the fact that there's been such maturity and that now he's a team that scares people. Like they don't want to play Josh Haber now because over the last 4 years, he's been such a solid team. Even in 2022, he was right around 500, even though he just missed. In 2020, he's right behind Frank. He gets that playoff spot if Frank doesn't grab the eighth spot. So it's really just been, I mean, you could say even 5 years if you want to count 2020, but he has just been so on point. It's just a question if he can win two matchups in a row come September.
Guys who have been at the bottom of the standings for the last couple of years should look at a guy like Josh Haber and say, that's how I want to eventually be. I may take my lumps here at the bottom for a few years, but I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make some changes and I'm going to go forward and really take charge of this league. I mean, Josh was last place in 2019. I mean, he was absolute bottom of the barrel, missing a whole bunch of stats, missing a bunch of starts, and we were concerned about why this was happening. Well, we have no more concerns here. Like this guy is absolutely dominating week in and week out. You said it. He's got the second best ERA in the league, the best WHIP in the league. He's had an unbelievable season, and I can't wait to see if he's able to finish this story and put his name on that trophy. But we will find out. Let's move on to the next matchup here, Benjamin. We're going to talk about Jay Ferraro taking an 11-9 loss to Henry Collins. What'd you see here?
Oh my God, dude. This is just. I spoke about it on two different shows, how I just needed one of these guys to beat up on the other one, and no one really wanted to do it. Henry even missed checking his team on Wednesday, still wins the matchup by 2 against Jay. Dude, I mean, this is just beyond frustrating. Jay wins batting average 283 to 282. He wins on base percentage 350 to 344. And by God, if Henry could have just gotten one or two more hits in there, this is much more lopsided, and Jay is playing for his playoff life. Instead, this is a very, very tight matchup, a very, very close battle, very well contested on both sides, with 129 to 124. I mean, this is for me, for Cody, for Bobby Russo. The three of us are just like, that was useless.
Absolutely heartbreaking for you. But for those two guys, they remain right in the middle of this fight. It's a 5-team race for what looks like 3 spots this year. It's going to be really interesting. On Sunday, it was 11-8 Henry going in. It comes out 11-9. Looks like the only thing that changed. Looks like Henry had
Errors?
a
Oh, okay.
one-run advantage, and Jay flipped
Jay
that.
went bananas. Yeah.
Walks were tied, and Jay
Oh,
took
wow.
that.
Oh,
However, Jay had a 2-walk by a pitcher advantage, and he gave up a few walks, and Henry took that down. So 11-9 is the finish. Close categories. Jay wins by 3 runs, 2 home runs, 3 walks, 1 tick on the batting average, and 6 ticks on the on base percentage. Henry wins by 2 wins and 5 ticks on the whip, and they tied in errors. For Henry on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is a 6 for 24.
oh, wow. What are the chances? Okay, I know this. 250.
You nailed it. That's 2 out of 3 so far, buddy.
Very impressive.
4 runs, a double, a triple, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Of course, the 4 runs is what counts here. It'd have to be perfect in order to flip it, but maybe you can get a couple of them in there. Otherwise, none of it matters. 9 moves used by Henry this week. He drops Ryan Nelson for Kike Hernandez 0 for 3. Drops Tim Herron for a Blig Madras 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. He drops Tyler Alexander for Christian Vasquez 1 for 3 with a solo homer and 2 strikeouts. Drops Vasquez for DJ LeMahieu, whom he benched. He dropped Kike Hernandez for Parker Meadows 2 for 4 with a run, a double, an RBI, and a strikeout. He drops Matt Vierling for Mike Yastrzemski 0 for 4 and finishes out the week on Sunday, dropping Bryan De La Cruz, Blig Madras, and Joe Mantiply for DL Hall, 4 2/3, 5.79 ERA, a 1.71 WHIP, and 9 strikeouts against Cincinnati. Bailey Falter, whom he benched, and Sam Mole for a clean relief appearance.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know when he picked up Blig Madras?
That was on the 6th, so Tuesday.
Okay, all right. So it was interesting because I was focusing in on Wednesday and how it affected him, and it really did. Nathaniel Lowe on the bench, a 2 for 4 with a triple. Okay.
Oof.
And then DJ LeMahieu, 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI. If these things happen, sure, we don't know how he plays his lineup the rest of the week, but if everything goes the same, he's still, I mean, he won triples anyway, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really just about the average and the on base percentage that were
Mm-hmm.
so close. And it was just like right there, maybe those extra hits don't do it.
His MVP this week, who else is it? It might be the AL MVP. It's Bobby Witt Jr., 381 with a 435 on base percentage, 6 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is going to be Max Kepler with his 273 average, 304 on base, a run, a double, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. A lot of these guys hit for him, like a 282 batting average, a 344 on base. That is a pretty impressive line to put up and still lose both those categories.
Yeah. And he's been doing this so consistently. I mean, we know about what he did 2 weeks prior to Cody, but even against Adam in week 17, the guy batted 279 with a 357 on base. This offense has shut me the hell up, man, because I
Mm-hmm.
remember right around the time where I was playing him, or even a week after, where I looked at this offense and I said, this is Bobby Witt and friends. Yeah, throw Profar in there, sure. But it's basically and friends. And it was the and friends that were doing most of the production and contributing. But it's been consistent now, man. It's been 3, 4 weeks in a row that his team is doing it. And it's from everybody. Austin Wells has been really solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know, man. I don't know if it continues. For his sake, I hope it does because it would be really, really impressive to see Henry go to the playoffs 2 years in a row, and he was a rookie last year. How I don't even remember the last time that's happened. If it has ever happened before, I'd have to go back into to the
I'm
to
sure
the
there's
history
somebody
check.
in the very beginning of the league, but
Sure, sure.
you
I
know,
mean, yeah, I mean, I got in the first 2 years, but like, I don't count that. I count once we've established this league,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we've had a lot of rookies come in, and we've had rookies get into the playoffs their first year. But to do it 2 years in a row, I think the only time, you know what, Andy Solar Greco, 17 and 18, I think that happened.
Mm,
But again, that was when we had 20, 21 ads or 14 ads or 13. This is just what Henry is doing amongst this group, amongst
yes.
these 15 other guys, is beyond impressive.
Yeah, this we've said it before, we'll say it again. This is the deepest this league has ever been, top to bottom managerially. And to see Henry as a second year manager in this hunt, even if he doesn't make it, even if he's one of the heartbroken teams at the end of the year, this is still an impressive run this year in his second season.
I agree.
His Cy Young this week is Zach Eflin, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 7 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0.71. And the Cy Young goes to, I'm going to give it to Camilo Doval, who unfortunately got sent down to AAA. 3 innings, a win, 2 saves, a homer, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 9, and a 167 with 3 relief appearances. But they sent him down, and this was one of the pieces he traded for right near the deadline. This was supposed to be like a solidifying piece to his team, and it's just fallen to AAA now.
Interesting.
For Jay on his bench this week, Benjamin, this one's not as easy. He goes 9 for 31.
Okay. Oh, no, 9 for 27, 33. Somewhere between 333 and 250.
Yes,
Um, what did you say? Nine for 30. What
9 for 31.
is it? Is it 307?
It's 290.
Okay.
5 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. None of it plays. And he used 9 ads this week. Kicked it off with Chris Martin for a clean relief appearance. Dropped Hunter Strickland for Geraldo Perdomo, 0 for 4 with an RBI. Dropped Perdomo and Verdugo for Eloy Jimenez, 1 for 3 with a strikeout. Drops Brusdar Gratterall for Pierce Johnson, who was terrible in his relief appearance against Milwaukee. Hayden Birdsong gets dropped for Masataka Yoshida, 2 for 4, and drops Zach Neto for Anthony Banda, which was a waste because he dropped Banda the next day along with Chris Martin for Geraldo Perdomo again, 2 for 4 with a run. Drops Pierce Johnson for Michael Lorenzen, who was serviceable against St. Louis in 4 1/3 innings. And drops Sam Mole for Alex Verdugo, 1 for 2 with a run and 2 walks. He finishes out the week dropping Shane Baz for JP Sears, 7 innings, a win, a homer, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 386 and an 086 against Toronto, and then dropped Hunter Harvey and Michael Lorenzen. His MVP this week, remember we were talking about this kid, Tyler Fitzgerald on the Giants? He all of a sudden is like just the best thing they've got right now.
Yeah, he's a solid defender as well. Like he's great on both sides of the ball. Him and the guy you like, Ramos. Where are these Giants coming from? Um, who's that other cat whose father was a big leaguer that we were talking about? Oh, oh, it's driving me crazy.
Was it
What's it?
McCray?
McCray. Yes, yes, that's it.
Yes. Well, Tyler Fitzgerald is the MVP this week. 345 with a 406 on base, 7 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, an RBI, 5 stolen bases, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to Seiya Suzuki, 118 with a 167, 2 runs, an RBI, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. The Cy Young, his teammate, is going to be Shota Imanaga, 7 innings, a win, a bomb, a walk, 10 strikeouts, a 257 and a 043, with a shout out to Bryce Miller's 6 shutout innings and a win, and Justin Steele's 6 innings and 8 strikeouts with nothing earned. The Cy Young goes to Hayden Birdsong, who was not very good, a 31.50 and a 4 in his 2 innings. He was absolute dog crap, which might have cost him the ERA category, a 31.50 over 3 innings or 2 innings. Yeah, it's an ugly, ugly line to get there. Benji, these two guys are right with you in the hunt. If you had to pick one that's going to make it, who's it going to be?
Um, that's a that's an amazing question. I don't know if I can answer that. I lean towards saying Jay based on experience and knowledge in the game and just the fact that if I had to pick one guy in our league that could pick someone out in free agency and that guy being the hitter that clicks, it's probably Jay Ferraro. You're in there, Jimmy Dunlap, Mike Haber, there's a couple, but Jay is just one of the best at it. And I feel like as far as his ability just kind of to stay composed through it all and not overdo it and not, break down the team too much, I think I believe in him more. The only thing is that Henry has kind of stuck with the same formula basically the whole time. As many closers as possible. Um, a lot of guys that can hit doubles. These are both good teams, but it's really the manager that's been driving it more. So I can't really answer your question with a lot of certainty, Joe. Henry has Mike Sherman this week. You'd think that that's a fairly competitive thing. It's just, and I know we're not talking about this current week, but Henry hasn't pitched very well this week. So I don't know, but Jay Ferraro, he gets Ari next week. That seems like it's a pretty good matchup for Jay, but Ari's been kind of hot on the pitching side and offensively. So it's the bigs. There's 3 weeks left. It's so hard to determine which guys are going to be out and which guys are going to be in, but I guarantee you at this point that in week 22, it's going to be all 5 of us still for 3 spots. I don't believe that one of us is going to fall so far out that we're saying like mathematically, yeah, it just doesn't look good, So you got Jay facing Cody on the final week. You
Mm-hmm.
got Bobby Russo facing Henry Collins in the second to last week.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at those things, man, and it's just what to expect here. Jay Ferraro has been great, man. He's got the best ERA in our league, despite how horrible The record seems to show that he had that horrible that winless streak, I should say, and he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't really been able to, you know, mitigate enough of the damage to actually turn enough wins. But we saw him come back against Bryan Lebo. That could have been his season on how bad that was looking. He
Mm-hmm.
managed to turn that around. And Henry's win against me was probably the most critical one that he's had. Um, Going into Henry and what he's done this year, he's 8-8 in runs. He's 9-6 in doubles. He's 6-8 in triples. 5-12 in home runs, but 10-7 in RBIs. 9-7 in stolen bases. 5-13 in walks. 10-6 in strikeouts. 11-4 in errors. That's his best offensive stat, but it's just a defensive stat. 9-9 in average. 8-10 in on base. In general, Henry's been a middle of the line kind of
Yeah.
guy with the
A
offense. Now,
500 team, a 500 offense.
basically, look at Jay, 10-8 in runs, 7-10 in doubles, 10-6 in triples, 6-7 in home runs, 8-8 in RBIs, 11-4 in stolen bases. That's his best. 10-8 in walks, 11-7 in strikeouts, 7-7 errors, 11-7 in average, 9-9 on base. I would say it's slightly better than Henry, as we're talking about against other opponents. On the pitching side, we'll start with Jay, 6-12 in innings pitched, 6-11 in wins, 7-10 in losses, 9-7 in saves, 8-10 in home runs given up, 9-9 in walks given up, 8-10 in strikeouts, 10-8 in ERA, 9-9 in WHIP. So 10-8 in ERA, but he has the best ERA in the league. That's
That's
not good.
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
that's
that's
not good.
crazy.
No, 9-9 in WHIP and 7-11 in relief appearances, which is weird as well. The fact that he's 1 over 500 in saves and that he's only 4 over in relief appearances is to me real. Oh no, sorry, he's 4 under 500 in relief appearances. Very very unusual. We'll go
That's
Henry.
surprising.
Yeah, Henry on the pitching side, 10-8 in innings pitched, but 6-10 in wins, 8-8 in losses, 12-3 in saves. That's his best.
Mm-hmm.
10-8 in home runs given up, 9-8 in walks given up, 9-9 in strikeouts, 9-9 in ERA, 8-10 in WHIP, 9-7 in relief appearances. Both of these teams are just like they don't really excel much in anything. You want to say that Henry's got the closing duties locked down against everybody? I give you that. But if Jay is like a pitching king right now, but he's basically at like 500 in ERA. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not good, right? Like that
No,
number should be better
it
against
should be a
opponents.
lot better. I would have expected a lot better out of ERA from Jay, given
Yeah,
the season he's having.
yeah, and I guess what you would account it for is that Jay is playing great every single week with the pitching, and he's playing against someone that's penny pushing basically a little bit, or penny pinching, I should say, just a little bit better, and just saying like, okay, if Jay is going to throw to a 215, I'm going to find a way to throw to like a 208 or whatever and win the
Mhm.
category. So even though Jay week after week after week he's been pitching great, he runs up against some opponent that's doing it better. I've been there. If that's the case, very frustrating.
Absolutely, and we've all been there. We've all been in the situation where you're staring at a really nice pitching week and you're losing most of the categories because your opponent is pitching that much better,
Yeah.
just that much better.
So let me ask you the same question, and
Yeah.
I'll even like give you a little bit of a context. Um, Henry's got Sherman this week. Then he faces Costas, Bobby, and finishes with Josh. Okay, Sherman, Costas, Bobby, Josh. That's what Henry has, right?
Hmm.
Now, if I go into Jay, it's myself, Ari, Jimmy, Hody. So I ask you the same question that you asked me. You got to look at one of these teams to find a way into the top six. Yeah.
I think I'm going Henry Collins. I think I'm going Henry Collins. He's hot right now. He's certainly been hot for the last couple of weeks. Does that sustain itself? I'm sure Henry hopes so. We all like I would hope so if I'm willing to face him in the first round. And it's the fact that he's got Sherman, Bobby in the second to last week is not fun. Josh in the last week is not fun. What was that other one? Was it Costas?
Costas after Sherman.
He could put a nice whooping on one of these two guys, Sherman or Costas, and get himself in the right position.
Yeah, you would think that, and I'm sorry, I hate to talk about this current week, man. It's just that right now, it, Sherman could win this matchup. I mean,
Mm.
it's fairly close, and the fact that Henry's pitching like dog duty and Sherman's pitching actually decently, that Henry might be on the outside looking in on a lot of these pitching stats. So I just don't know. I mean, Jay could give that whooping to Ari that we're
Mm-hmm.
expecting,
Yeah,
maybe that Sherman or Costas receives from Henry. Like both of those things can happen, and then in which case, like I have no idea, man. It's very possible both of these teams end up in.
that's the other thing I was going to ask. Both, neither, or one or the other is the question, really.
I
And
would go with no. If you're gonna ask me like that, then I would say they both make it in based
okay,
on scheduling.
nice. Let's move on to the next matchup. And ironically, we are talking about Mike Sherman here, my friend. He takes a loss to, don't look now, but one of the hotter teams in the league is Bryan Lebo. What'd you see this week?
No surprises here. I think Bryan is at a point where he's just like, I'm going AWOL, like I'm going bananas on whoever, goes, up against me. He was so close to beating Jay, and it would be nice if I mean, he's 15 under 500, so like there is some work to do in order to get to 500, but I think he's probably, at least, I don't want to say he's satisfied, but I want to say like at least he's happy that he started to rattle off some wins where when you and I spoke to him the first few weeks, it was just like I'm never going to get a win for the rest of the season.
Here we go again. Bryan's found himself at the bottom of the standings a couple of years in a row here, and he's, again, the word isn't satisfied, but it's proud of the fact that he's not embarrassing himself. He's getting himself into the middle of the consolation bracket. He's 15 under 500 with 3 weeks to go. Yes, it's possible, but unlikely, very unlikely. I don't I would say his season's over, barring some ridiculous run that he goes on in the final 3 weeks. He's going to have to squash out some opponents in a hurry.
Yeah, no, and honestly, the fact that he's got to face Bobby Russo next, and Bobby has been playing like a man on a mission right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to be an easy matchup for Bryan, but it might not be a very easy matchup for Bobby. We're going to have to see.
We'll see. It was 13-5 going into Sunday. It comes out 12-7 as errors were tied and Lebo took 2. And he had a 7-tick advantage in the batting average, and Mike Sherman just had himself a Sunday and blew that out of the water. Close categories this week. Lebo wins by a double, 3 stolen bases, 2 losses, 2 saves, 3 home runs by a pitcher, 4 strikeouts by a pitcher, and 4 relief appearances. Sherman wins by 4 runs, 2 home runs, and 2 errors. They tied in triples and wins. For Lebo on his bench this week, Benji, he goes 5 for 22.
Oh. 227.
You nailed it. You nailed it. 227 on the nose with 2 runs, a double, a triple, a steal, a walk, and a strikeout. The triple, of course, the only thing that matters here, and that was on Tuesday. His moves this week, he used 8 of them. He drops Sean Armstrong and Sam Long for Eric Swanson, clean relief appearance. Drops Joey Estes for Dylan Carlson, 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a strikeout. Drops Dylan Carlson for Caleb Thielbar, clean 2-inning relief appearance. Drops Tony Santillan for Matt Wallner, 1 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs and a run scored. He drops Hunter Stratton for Eniel De Los Santos, who did not appear, Sir Anthony Dominguez for Jake Cousins, who did not appear, and Miles Michaelis for Brandon Crawford, over 4 with 3 strikeouts. He dropped Brandon Crawford for Anthony Banda, who was bad in his relief appearance. His MVP this week, I have written here Ellie De La Cruz, who had a really interesting week. 387, 441 on base,
Wow.
7 runs, 4 doubles, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 3 walks, 15 strikeouts, and 2 errors.
Yeah.
What a
Okay.
weird week.
No doubt. And you talk about Ellie De La Cruz now. All I think about is Frank always saying, I was sick of the errors and I was sick of the strikeouts.
Mhm.
Now, Sherman doesn't win strikeouts if it weren't for Ellie De La Cruz, and he certainly doesn't win errors if it weren't for Ellie De La Cruz.
Mhm.
So in that regard, when Frank says these things, he's absolutely right. Like this is a guy that can kill you in two things, like two statistics, like
Mhm.
100%. And you need a stat line like this to justify having a guy like this, because
Right.
this is what he does when he's at his best, right? I mean, you could throw in, sure, he should be having like 1 or 2 triples as well, but 7 runs, four
Sure.
doubles, 2 bombs, 5 RBIs, 2 steals, 3 walks, like, yeah, like a
Great line.
387 441, like you need all that to win the week,
Mhm.
but you are also sacrificing 2 stats. So if the week for Ellie De La Cruz shows something more like 4 runs, 2 doubles, 1 bomb, 3 RBIs, maybe 2 stolen bases also, maybe more walks, and like maybe like a 286 batting average and a 330 on base. It's still a good week, but with all those strikeouts and errors, like I wouldn't want Ellie De La Cruz either. I'd rather have the other guy that can do similar stuff, maybe not as strong consistently week to week, but he won't strike out a boatload. He won't cost me errors every week. So you take the good and the bad with Ellie De La Cruz. I don't know if he's a guy that I'll ever own, just because these stats are all over the place and I
Mhm.
won't be able to put up with those down weeks of Ellie De La Cruz. But when he puts out stuff like this, you can take the bad with the good.
I'll be interested to see where he goes next year. I would imagine it's going to be second to third round. Just spitballing early, but there could be an argument that he deserves to be a first round pick with all of the stolen bases and the home run upside. And
Triples, I guess.
yeah, I mean he's got all of the upside in the world. He's very very young. He's the sexy flashy pick. The question is, where is he going to land next year? Don't know.
Where do you think I want to word this correctly?
Yep.
Where do you think he will ultimately compare to a player that is, I mean, listen, obviously from those early 2000 years and going forward, this guy was very good. Obviously his career kind of tailed off a little bit towards the 2013s and after he signed with Miami, but Jose Reyes, I feel like there's a decent amount of similarity. Obviously more power from Ellie overall, and Ellie De La Cruz is arguably the fastest player in the big leagues. I don't know if Jose Reyes was ever the fastest, though he was one of the fastest. I feel
Hmm.
like these guys are similar. Reyes did have some pop as well. So if Reyes had a fairly reasonably long career, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
do you think this guy is better, the same, worse? What do you think is going to end up?
I don't think Ellie will ever win a batting title like Jose Reyes did.
Okay, okay,
Right? I don't think that'll ever be a thing. But if you're going to base it off of the stats that we use here in the bigs, I would probably take Ellie over Jose Reyes, knowing that Reyes, would hit double digits triples in a season,
yeah.
but probably have 12 to 15 home runs. Whereas I could see Ellie hitting 30 in a year.
Hmm. How many does he have right now?
Let's take a look. I think he's in the 20s.
Yeah, 21.
21 home runs, 59 stolen bases, 78 runs scored. That is it's a really, really interesting line. And again, if he stays healthy and if he continues to improve the way he has already, this kid could be a first round pick.
Okay.
It wasn't a first round pick. That's the least valuable hitter for Lebo's team. It's Abraham Toro, 067 with a 176 on base with a run, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Unfortunate for him, Jazz Chisholm hits the IL now with an issue after a really nice week, 292, 323 bombs, and 2 stolen bases. But unfortunately, he's going to be out for a little bit here.
Unfortunate. I mean, you, listen, when I heard that, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, I need a guy to play against Bobby. Can't stand that Jazz Chisholm just got hurt
Mm-hmm.
selfishly. Like the poor guy just wants to play for the Yankees, and the Yankee fans kind of would like him to be there. I feel like the guy is going to be back by October, though.
Yeah, I think he'll be back soon, but it just sucks that this is the moment where he goes down after the trade and after a trade to that lineup and the success he saw early on. Just really disappointing. The Cy Young this week goes to Colin Ray. 7 innings, a win, a walk, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 086. And the Cy Young goes to Andrew Nardi, who had a 1080 and a 180 across 3 relief appearances. Did not factor in a decision and gave up 2 bombs. For Sherman on his bench this week, Benji, he goes 4 for 13.
Uh, uh, 319.
It's a 308
Okay.
with 3 runs, an RBI, a stolen base, a walk, 3 strikeouts. None of it plays. However, he did pick up Jack Kohanowitz from the Angels and benched him on Sunday. That would have flipped innings pitched and wins if he had played that guy. Unfortunately, he did not. The other ad this week is David Hamilton, 1 for 3 with a run and a strikeout. He was also bench.
Okay.
So he made 2 ads, but left him on the bench.
Okay.
Okay. His MVP this week is Teoscar Hernandez, 409 with a 435 on base percentage, 7 runs, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Shout out to Willie Adames' 4 home runs and 9 RBIs with a 348 average as well. Yeah, he tore the cover off the ball. 15 homers, 40 runs scored, 39 RBIs. Yeah, Bryan ran into a bit of a juggernaut this week. Bryan put up a good week too, 13 bombs, 32 RBIs, and 36 runs, but not enough. The least valuable hitter on Sherman's team this week is Bryce Turang, 167 with a 211, 4 runs, a bomb, 3 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and a strikeout. Everyone contributed, truthfully. Like, yeah, he hit 167, but again, he had a bomb, 4 runs, and 3 RBIs.
Yeah, a steal.
Yeah. The Cy Young goes to Spencer Schwellenbach, 6 innings, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 3 and a 133. The Cy Young goes to Luis Severino, 10 innings, 2 losses, 3 bombs, 13 strikeouts, a 720 and a 160. Disappointing that Mike loses by 2 losses and 3 homers, and that's exactly what Severino gave him.
Yeah.
Again, we see that Lebo is making a run here. We've seen him make runs in the past. I'd love to see him get into the 5-team race that exists for 3 spots and make it 6 teams. I just don't know that he has enough time left.
No way. I mean, he's got too many guys in front of him, and he's got to jump a guy that he's playing. But start there, Bryan. Find a way to beat Bobby somehow. Find a way to crush Bobby. I love you, Bobby, but I mean, this is an opportunity to really cement yourself. And he's done it before. If you remember 2 years ago, Bryan Lebo versus Frank Bucco in the final week, and this guy came out of nowhere in like the last 2 days in week 22 to knock Frank out of the playoffs. So it's something that he's done before. It's looking like this team is starting to gel as far as like him figuring out who the group is. But when you look at them in general without Chisholm, like I just am not a huge fan of this offense. So we'll have to see what happens.
It's flashy. It is difficult to manage though, because you never know when you're going to get a hand grenade of a day, like an 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts and an error from one of these guys. It's just it's flashy and it's what's the word I'm looking for? Inconsistent.
Yeah. I mean, look, JT Realmuto here has a 158 average for this week and 238 on base percentage, but he gets a bomb and 4 runs and 2 doubles. So, like, he gave him some counting stats.
Mm-hmm.
Realmuto should be better than this and probably will be as the Phillies get a little bit better. So maybe that helps him out a little bit. He's got this like group of Cardinals and former Cardinals with
Mm-hmm.
Yepes and Pham and Wynn. And
He
yeah,
had Carlson
he's got Edmund on the IL who it's been trying to come back for like 3 months
the
now.
whole year.
So yeah, it's
Just
unfortunate. I think
mm-hmm.
it's just Bryan's just looking forward to March and just being able to start over, new draft, new group. Let's go to war in week 1.
Let's see what we can do.
He came out of the gate very slow.
He did. All right, Benjamin. I know you don't want to do it. I know you don't want to talk about it.
No, I don't.
It was a terrible week for you. A 12-5 loss to Adam Lowenstein this week.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just dive into this thing. It was 14.
Yeah, I mean, go for it.
It was 14-4 going into Sunday, so you do mitigate a little bit here and make it a 12-5. You were able to take down strikeouts, and Adam tied errors for you. So you were able to make that a little bit of lemonade there. Close categories this week. Adam wins by 2 triples, a save, and 2 relief appearances. You win by 3 RBIs, a strikeout by a hitter, 3 innings, and 2 wins. You guys tied in home runs by a hitter, errors, losses, and home runs by a pitcher. For Adam on his bench this week, he goes 2 for 30.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I mean, that's part of the reason he won right there. Like, that's I don't know. I didn't follow too closely on part 1 of this week's matchups, but that sounds like the best numbers on the bench of any of us.
Mm-hmm.
1 for 15 is if 1 for 10. Oh, come on! I should be able to do this. This is like normal math, right? 50. 75.
067.
Okay. Yeah.
With a run, a double, 2 walks, and 12 strikeouts. Good job getting all those out of there. But if you had gotten 1 more, you would have won the category. Tough nuts. He used 6 ads this week. He dropped Jacob Young and Hunter Renfroe for Michael Conforto, 1 for 4 with an RBI. He drops Max Schumann for David Hamilton, who didn't play and was on his bench. Dropped Whit Merrifield for Ernie Clement, 1 for 5 with a run scored. Dropped David Hamilton for Zach Neto, 0 for 5 with a strikeout and an error. Take all of that. Dropped Anthony Bender for Tim Herron, who did not make it into the game, and dropped Bo Bichette for Elvis Peguero, who did not make it into the game. His MVP is Freddie Freeman this week. 316 with a 381, 4 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Logan O'Hoppe. Did not record a hit, an 067 on base with a run, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. The Cy Young goes to Robbie Ray, ? It wasn't a great week on the pitching side for him. 6 innings, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 3 and a 133. The Cy Yuck goes to Jose Quintana. 6 2/3, a loss, a 6.75, but an 090 whip and 8 strikeouts. So, again, a mixed bag a bit here as he threw to a 414, but did happen to win that. Benjamin, for you on your bench this week, it's the 4 for 18.
2 for 9. Did we do 2 for 9?
We did 2 for 9.
2 for 9 is 222.
You nailed it. 3 runs, a double, a homer, an RBI, and 6 strikeouts, plus all of the guys that you benched on Sunday, which included 4 homers, but an error. So The home run, where does it come
And a
from?
lot
Do
of
you remember?
strikeouts, by the way.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Grichuk a home run on the bench on Wednesday. That's the one that you'd like to have back this week, I'm sure. You used 9 ads this week, sir. You dropped Sean Murphy for Fuck Barmer, who gave you a clean relief appearance. Dropped Michael Bush for Donovan Solano, 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs and a strikeout. Dropped Mauricio Dubon for Sean Murphy, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Dropped TJ McFarland for Joey Ortiz, 2 for 6 with an RBI and 2 strikeouts. And dropped Sean Murphy for Jose Ruiz, who did not show up for you. Dropped Donovan Solano for Justin Wilson, who did not show up for you. Dropped Joey Ortiz for Nick Mears, who was terrible when he showed up for you. Dropped Jose Ruiz for Kyle Muller, who didn't pitch, and Joey Wentz for JT Chargois, who didn't pitch. That's the difference right there in the relief appearances, is those 4 guys not showing
So
up for
many,
you.
yeah, just okay. And there's actually one more, but we'll get into it. Go ahead.
Okay. The most valuable hitter is Jorge Soler this week. 438, 500 on base, 4 runs, a double, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error. You won RBIs, and you did have a nice week from Nolan Arenado as well. 364 with a 440, but only 3 RBIs, 2 doubles, and 3 runs scored. The least valuable hitter, who is it?
Oh boy, you could look at a lot of guys, but I'd probably say it's Will Smith.
That's the first name on the list here is Will Smith. 091 with a 167, 2 runs, 3 RBIs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Also on the list, Nimmo, Abrams, Soto, the usual suspects.
Yeah. Well, Soto just probably arguably his worst week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Solano, right? Like I needed those 4 RBIs. I needed Soler's 5 RBIs. I needed even Will Smith's 3 RBIs when you win that stat by 3. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, God, probably, dude, I probably say the answer is Nimmo. I mean, Nimmo really just did nothing to help, man. Like those 2 doubles weren't going to mess with Adam, who has the most doubles of any of us, right? On base percentage, he's beating everybody. So those are 2 stats where I was already just like, all right, like probably not winning those, but maybe I can grab some of these other things here and there.
The Cy Young this week, I'm going to give to
Nobody.
Griffin. I'm going to give to Griffin Canning.
Okay, all right.
Griffin Canning was a good
Fine.
start. 7 innings, a bomb, a 5.14, and a 1.14, but he did not walk anybody. Also didn't strike anybody out, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
The Cy Yuck goes to whom?
Take your pick when you have a 4.99 ERA. Members of the bullpen were god awful. Nestor Cortez was horrendous. Ryan
That's the one.
Yarborough threw 2 2/3 innings. Like, what the hell did he do? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I won by 3 innings, bro. Like, this guy was just useless. I finally dropped him after a whole goddamn season. He's gone.
Yeah. We're giving it to Nestor Cortez, 4 2/3. His loss, a bomb, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 11.57, and a 2.14 whip. Yeesh. Yeesh. Now,
Now, I have the
Benji,
floor, I guess.
the floor is yours, buddy.
All right. So let's start on Monday, where it's very, very unusual on a Monday to have a full lineup. But while playing Cody, I'm thinking, you know what? I can get a tight loss here and still be pretty darn set up for Monday. This is awesome. Like, I should be able to get some counting stats here, and things look good because I have 9 and my opponent does not. Through these 9 guys, dude, 4 for 35,
Ugh.
a 114 average and on base, 1 run, 2 doubles, a big bomb by Jesus Sanchez, who's not even on the team, and 13 punch outs, including an 0 for 4 from Michael Bush and the Golden Sombrero. That's how we started this week. Okay. Not to mention, like, okay, I get a couple of relievers in, and I'm like, all right, I should be able to win relief appearances. I got this guy Joey Wentz on the team. He hasn't been in the game. He hasn't been in the game since Saturday prior. He didn't come in Sunday. He didn't come in Monday. Here comes Tuesday. Still no Wentz. Okay. Play Kershaw, gets a tough luck loss. That loss ends up being the case, but a brilliant job. 4 2/3, a 193, 5 strikeouts against the Phillies. It was a risky play, but I wanted it, and he was pretty darn good. Tuesday was actually tolerable on the offensive side. After having a 114, I grabbed a 314. Great. Finally, a decent Tuesday. That should help. Let's go into Wednesday. The Yankees have a doubleheader, Joe. I have Volpe and Juan Soto. They were kind enough to go 2 for 17 with a double, an RBI, and 3 strikeouts. 2 for 17 between Volpe and Soto. Let's start there, okay? Not to mention the 0 for 4 from Sean Murphy. By the way, Wentz has a game today. No, he didn't come in either. Let's go to Thursday. Thursday gets a little bit better. We got a 321 with a 355. We got 5 RBIs, double, no bombs. Joey Wentz has a game on Thursday. Did he come in?
No. Nope.
Still no. No.
Nope.
Wentz. Okay, let's go to Friday now, where the team actually hit a little bit more. 303, 361. We're actually collecting decent batting averages after the horrendousness that was shown on Friday, on Wednesday, rather. Now let's go. Oh, Joey Wentz has a game on Friday. Did he come in? No.
No.
So basically, after Saturday, this guy just decided, you know what? I'm done with baseball. I'm going to go drive Uber for a couple of days, and that's going to be my position. And then after Tuesday, he decides on Wednesday, you know, I'm going to work in the pharmacy at Rite Aid for the next couple of days. Until Saturday, when he should work. This guy went a week without playing after on Saturday he had a scoreless inning. He can't come in for a whole week. Now let's go into the offense, shall we? Because the Yankees had another doubleheader on Saturday. Okay? Volpe, Soto, give me something. 1 for 16! Including an 0 for 9 from Anthony Volpe and 4 strikeouts. You want to talk about the least valuable player? The guy that went 1 for 20. .50 average. And a trip off my team. This is absolutely pathetic. 7 for 35. A 200 and a 300 on base on Saturday. Oh, cool. Wentz came in the game for a scoreless inning. Way after the fact. We got Michael Tonkin with a 1.1, a 20.25 ERA. Good night to the Yankees on that second game of the doubleheader. Then let's go to Sunday, right? Because I'm picking up guys to try to maybe get relief appearances, right? We get Chargois, we get Kyle Moeller. Neither of them come in the game. We know Wentz didn't come in the game either, by the way, on Sunday, so I made sure he was one of the drops. Because hell knows that he wasn't fucking coming in 2 days in a row. Let's talk about Sunday, right? Because we're thinking, hey, why don't you just look at Grant? Ben, why don't you just go look at Cary Grant? All you got to say is look at Cary Grant. You've been saying the whole goddamn season, you got to look at Cary Grant. Don't sit there and tell me you didn't think this guy was going to strike out. With the week that he had, I'm supposed to play him on Sunday where he hits 2 bombs that would have given me another category, not strike out once. Are you fucking kidding me? That is pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. Way to show up for 6 days and do nothing. And I'm supposed to assume now I'm supposed to do it? I won strikeouts by 1. This is so sad and pathetic. This is the worst team in our league over an 8-week stretch. It's not even close, Joe. Part of it is me? Absolutely. Is most of it me? I gotta say no. I gotta say no, man. Not when the first half went as well as it did. Not when beating Ari after having an extended week and getting lucky at a 13-7. You don't think I'm supposed to stick to the same formula? Am I supposed to drop Brandon Nimmo and C.J. Abrams and Will Smith and kick them right to the back of their baseball card? This is pathetic, Joe. This is a bad,
bad fantasy team. And I swear to God, there's 16 teams here. There are 30 Major League Baseball teams. If you put the Mets against my fantasy baseball team, the Mets would die. It is so bad right now. It is pathetic. I'm not gonna be so bold to say there's no way I'm making the playoffs because that's stupid. I'm not gonna make predictions, but if you say who do you think is not making it in, it's this guy. There's no reason to think otherwise. There's no reason to think all of a sudden they're all just gonna fucking turn it around. Give me a break. No one thinks that. No one. And it's certainly not me at this point. It is so bad, and I'm done, man. There are 4 weeks left, but I'm done. I'm done. This is done. We're done. Goodbye.
Damn. My boy came in hot today. Fortunately, I took down his managers of the week. I'll just go through those quickly, and we'll go ahead and sign off, as it's been a rough week for my boy. His number 3 is going to be Frank Bucco after a really nice comeback win over Josh Haber. I tend to agree. I've got him a little bit higher. My number 3 is going to be Ari Nisman getting a win over Cody. Very, very necessary and important win to get. And it was 12-9. A very good job to you, Ari. My number 2 is going to be Frank for the same reasons. Benji has me as his number 2, getting a win over Jimmy Dunlap. And number 1, there is no question, it was Bobby on a boat. Bobby on a boat, doubling up Jason 14-7 with a great, great win. He's in the hunt. There's 5 teams for 3 spots here is what we're predicting is going to be the run here. Going to be a really, really interesting week and a final 3 weeks. I thank you guys all for being here. We would not have anything without you guys. So thank you again. Thank you for making this as competitive as it is and making it as awesome as it has been. Until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.